talk to Dan and Metairie. You're on Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. How can we help you, Dan?
Gregory, I think that Disney has been very popular for very long. What was their stock at just before the virus?
Give me just a moment, and I will pull that up for you.
Get what it is now while you're at it.
Well, let's see, the close today was $112.07. It opened at $115.85. So we're talking about somewhere into December. We're looking at, gosh, it was looking like somewhere in the 142 range. I'm looking at a chart with the numbers lined up on the side for the past number. So we're talking about somewhere in 145, 146 range, depending on the day right in there. But that was a good number. That was a great number.
I don't do my arithmetic that bad. How big of a drop was that?
Well, I'll tell you what, we saw it reach a low on intraday trading that it got below $80 a share back on around, I'll just call it mid-March.
So what's the difference between the high before the virus and present?
So when I talk about that reach down, that's not where it closed at, but that was some of the movement at the worst period. So you'll have stocks that will say, and I'll give you an example of it opened, just given it, let me just how can I do the story here? Let's say it opened at 100 and closed at 90, but it might have reached up to 110 during that day and may have dropped to 90 that day. But what history shows us is that's real simple to keep up with is where it opened and where it closed. But it could have had movement during the day that varied beyond those two numbers. So when we're looking at charts and technicals, those have meaning to us that follow this, and that's information to know. But if you're probably looking at a close, the worst close was probably around, I'll just call it $84 there.
So how much money?
Go ahead.
How much money would I have lost had I owned Disney at the beginning of this virus, and how much would I have lost by now?
Well, where it closed at today at 112, if you were holding it beginning of the year, you were trading into, say, the low 140s. So I don't consider you in too bad a shape considering what's happened there. If you panicked back in mid-March, as in a lot of cases, it was too late to get out. We saw a sell signal probably early March on that particular stock. We also don't have a buy signal back in. There was way too much volatility for technicals to show all these things. It's probably approaching it there, but it could, because, gosh, my thought is that we probably are seeing a downturn coming generally in stocks right now because this corona thing's firing back up a little bit and creating fear. So what are you wanting to know, Dan?
I was just thinking that would have been a good thing to buy back there when it was at its low and have sold it at its highest since then if you would have made very profit.
Well, yeah, if you could have it's at 142, let me sell it, and if it ever goes to 80, I'm buying it. That'd been the perfect world, but when it's going to 80, you're thinking everything's going to Hades in a handbasket. So how do you do that there when it's still going down?
Thank you for your call.
You cannot make that buy. And even right now, today, with it moving down, I don't know how you buy it today on that, because have they opened up? Have they started doing business? How's that going to work? And you're seeing a downward trend right now. I don't know. If I was holding it, if I owned it at 142, I'd probably still be owning it now. But if I'm not an owner, I don't know that I buy it now either. And I surely wasn't buying it that day when it dropped below 80. Like, how do you buy it? It's like, oh my gosh, the world's crashing. How do you buy that then?
Well, he's doing this thing that I do to myself, like, oh man, if I would have bought it here and sold it here, I'd have made a ton of money. But how easy is that to go cherry pick spots on the chart after you already know when it's going to go up or go down?
If you want to go the perfect scenario, when Bezos needed a bigger garage, it's, dude, you can use mine. How can I get involved?
I have no idea what you mean by that.
He was selling used books out of a garage back in the day.
Right. I'm sorry.
And he was doing too much. You need some help?
Right.
I have some free time. So okay, if
I
we're
see.
going back there, then I could maybe been the 4th or 5th richest person on the planet.
I'd have bought Apple at $8 a share. I know. It's magic stories.
See,
These
yeah.
things happen.